on Denver 7 News. The January 6th Congressional Committee holds another public hearing. See how they're connecting extremist groups to former President Trump and his inner circle.
Rural areas have been disproportionately hit by the opioid epidemic. How money that's arriving now from the National Opioid Settlement is offering some hope. And recruiting and retaining youth sports referees is now more difficult than ever. We're looking into why people aren't wanting to take these jobs.
And Denver's e-bike program runs out in less than a day when you can sign up for the next round of rebates. We begin with some breaking news. West Metro fire crews are responding to a brush fire in the area of Highway 8 and 285. You're looking at some video right now from Air Tracker 7 where you can see smoke and flames in the area. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says a full evacuation has been ordered for Mount Lindo and the tip of Willow Springs. They are also doing door-to-door evacuations of homes in the area. As of right now, the fire is just 1 acre and no structures are threatened. Now to the January 6th Congressional Committee's 7th hearing. Today they highlighted some of the extremist groups involved in the riot and their ties to allies of former President Trump. Karen Kafa has the latest from Washington.
The House January 6th committee highlighting plans by extremist groups like the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys in the weeks after a key tweet by former President Donald Trump and before the Capitol insurrection.
Trump had mobilized these groups around a common goal.
Jason Van Tatenhove described the danger of the Oath Keepers, a group with which he has broken.
All I can do is thank the gods that things did not go any worse that day.
Stephen Ayers was not a member of any militia group. He described himself as a family man who supported then President Trump. He has pleaded guilty to entering the U.S. Capitol illegally on January 6th, 2021.
I followed, President Trump, on all of the websites, he basically put out, come to stop the steal rally.
The panel also showed clips of closed-door testimony by former White House counsel Pat Cipollone, who gave more insight into White House conversations after the nationwide Electoral College vote on December 14th, 2020.
If your question is, did I believe he should concede the election at a point in time, yes, I did.
Including a West Wing meeting on December 18th described as unhinged, where former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and former Trump campaign attorney Sidney Powell presented the president with baseless election fraud theories.
I don't think any of these people were providing the president with good advice. And so I didn't understand how they had gotten in.
Hours after that meeting, Trump sent a tweet telling supporters to come to a protest in D.C. on January 6th, adding, "Will be wild." In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
At the end of today's hearing, Vice Chair Liz Cheney revealed that former President Trump attempted to contact a witness in the investigation. She said the unnamed witness declined to answer the former president's calls and instead informed the committee. She then added that the committee has referred the matter to the Justice Department. And one of the men testifying at today's hearing is from Colorado and served as the spokesperson for the Oath Keepers. More than a dozen Coloradans were arrested after the January 6th attack. 3 others were arrested recently in Idaho. They were packed into a U-Haul truck with 28 others in riot gear near a Pride event. Now, we asked the director of the Division of Homeland Security in Colorado whether extremism is getting worse in our state.
It's gotten worse, nationwide, right? And that's one of the things that we're dealing with. And in Colorado, there has been an increase in the searches that domestic violent extremists do. And when we look at our Google statistics, although some of that content has decreased from May compared to June.
Kevin Klein tells us there has been a 54% increase in hate crimes in Colorado between this year and last. A CU Boulder police officer has been fired after an investigation into comments he made on Reddit. Drew Matthews is accused of writing anti-homeless and anti-black comments on a Reddit post back in April. He was placed on administrative leave during the investigation. In a statement, the department says they are committed to professional standards and Matthews could no longer effectively perform his duties for the university. All new at 4, the Denver DA's office has charged this man with first-degree murder and 8 other felonies in the death of a pedestrian. Police say 19-year-old Abel Aguirre Sanchez was driving more than 100 miles per hour down Broadway just before 2 a.m. on July 2nd. Witnesses say he hit 23-year-old Terrell Jones at the intersection of Broadway and West Ellsworth as Jones was crossing Broadway. Jones died at the scene. Alcohol is believed to be a factor in the crash. Denver is no longer accepting new applications for its e-bike rebate program. The city reopened the program yesterday and says it has already run out. However, if you tried to register yesterday and couldn't due to technical difficulties, the city will still process your application. For everyone else, the city will accept more applications on August 1st. Aurora is ready to put car thieves in jail with a no-tolerance policy. The city council passed a new ordinance last night, creating a mandatory minimum 60-day sentence for people convicted of stealing cars. Repeat offenders would spend 120 days in jail. The tougher penalties go into effect next month.
The White House's COVID response team is warning today about the highly transmissible BA.5 Omicron subvariant spreading. Health leaders say this subvariant may be better at escaping immunity, including from prior infections. The COVID response team says today it's addressing this by prioritizing booster shots and making at-home testing widely available. Also encouraging people to seek out therapies like Paxlovid if you get sick, which have been shown to reduce the risk of hospitalization and death. Currently, a second booster shot is only recommended to those 50 and older or to people who are at higher risk. But federal leaders are considering expanding that. Doctors expect a back-to-school COVID surge, and they fear the slow vaccine rollout for small children means many of them won't be protected. Kids under 5 have been able to get the shot for about 3 weeks now, and so far about 300,000 have received their first dose.
Which is a small percentage of the overall population.
Dr. Grant Paulson led COVID vaccine trials at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center. He says although the vaccine is safe and effective for young children, he has heard many different thoughts from parents.
It seems like there's, a percentage of parents that were rushing out to get their kids vaccinated as soon as possible. There's probably an equal percentage of parents that are really not interested in having their children vaccinated anytime soon. And then there's a large group in the middle that are kind of the wait and see approach.
While younger children typically have less trouble with COVID, severe infection and death can still occur.
Over 50% of children in this youngest age group to get admitted to the hospital are kids that don't have any medical problems.
Dr. Paulson urges parents who are hesitant about the vaccine to talk to their child's pediatrician. Youth sports referees say the abuse they're receiving now is the worst it's been in decades.
We can handle the booze. We can handle the stuff, the screaming and the yelling. It's all part of this. But when we get into this violating physical space, that's a whole different animal.
How this is only part of what's causing a big referee shortage.
Plus, the Avs are already thinking ahead to next season. Which key player just signed a major contract extension? Next.